Alright, so I'm out in the garage working on the XJ again. So last time I got this back corner, this back panel here pretty much done and built. So there's that if you didn't see that. I also patched a bunch on the inside where there were some missing pieces here. And this here was all nice and rusty, so we put a nice panel in there to close that off. Right there from down below. And today, I've been working on it a little bit today already. So when I was working on this panel last time, I noticed a bunch of this metal here was pretty rusted out right around this seam. So I just went ahead and replaced this entire piece. I built a new piece out of sheet metal for there and got that put in there. So now this back corner, I think, should be pretty solid. It's not terribly bad. There's obviously still rust in the fenders that I'll have to take care of at some point, and there's a little hole right there I'm probably going to have to patch before too long. But right now, I think the next thing I want to work on is trying to get this frame piece right here put in. So I built a replacement piece to go in there. Believe me, it fits really. Anyway, looks like it's a little tight right now. But anyway, it'll go in there. I just got to tap it in there. And so that goes right in there. And so I'm going to try and get that all lined up and see if I can get that at least tacked in today. And we'll see where we go from there. Alright, so what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get this as close as straight to possible because I want my spring mounts to be in line with each other. So I'm using this laser level to draw a straight line, and it goes right up there across the bottom of the frame there, which is where the front mount's going to be, the front spring mount's going to be, and then comes back here. The frame goes in there, which is why it does that, but then it comes back here and runs right along the edge of this piece, and I think right there is about as close to straight as I'm going to get, and hopefully that will be straight enough. So I think it's time to tack this piece in. Alright, it's in there now. Guess I'm going to burn it in. Alright, so I got that part of the frame in. Here's what that looks like. So next I'm trying to figure out how this spring bracket fits in here. It's in there something like that, but my frame, as you can maybe see there, isn't quite as deep as the frame that was in there, which I expected that, so I'm gonna have to put a little plate on here. I expected that was gonna happen. I just didn't do it beforehand when I was doing this piece because I didn't know how thick I was gonna need or whatever. So I'll be putting a plate to space that out, and then I have this tacked together just because it's a lot easier to hold. It's two pieces. When I do this, I'm gonna put this back piece on first and then this other piece. But you can probably see back here on the back side, when I hold this up, there's quite a bit of space there between that the back of the bracket there and that back panel that I built. And so if we look at the bottom, the reason for that, it's kind of hard to tell here, but this panel is not actually straight. I kind of didn't get it straight when I put it on there. And the reason for that, I think, is you see how this is like goes in right here. This is the panel that was there, and then it comes out, and I got it on that. I think this side I've got lined up with that back, and then this far side I think I may have accidentally moved out slightly, so the whole thing is kind of tipped slightly at an angle here. So that's why there's space between this and that spring bracket. So now if I hold this spring bracket up here from the bottom, you can see how that goes on there. And you can see here, this side goes pretty much right up against that. And then over there, like I was saying, there's quite a bit of space there. Like I said, I think there's two reasons for that. First one being that this panel, when I put it on, I did not make it straight. It actually is tipped this way slightly. The second reason is this square bracket here is a lot thicker than the original little piece that was on the unibody. And so that's pushing the bracket back just slightly. So I may trim this little piece back just slightly, and then I'm probably just going to put like a little 1/8" plate, like right in here. Put like a little 1/8" plate there just to make that thicker, so that where that goes on, it'll line up a lot nicer. That'll work. Alright, so I'm working on the XJ again. Last time I was working on this rear corner here, getting this piece, this back piece all finished up and so forth. And so anyway, I think I got this rear corner all set, and so now I'm trying to line up where I'm going to put the spring bracket here. So I got this my laser alignment tool here, and I got it set to do a cross because I'm trying to make sure when I line this up that I have it, you know, squared up more or less against this frame piece. So I got it lined up down the frame there more or less, and then I got the perpendicular line right here so that I can line up the bracket. Alright, so this bracket goes in something like this, and so what I'm trying to do is I got the bolt here, and so I'm trying to use the laser to line it up and make sure that it's mostly straight. And so you can see where I got that right now, right about there is just about perfect. I got my line here, I got the line right there, right across the bolt, and so that's about where I want it. The other thing I need to do is I need to drill a hole in my frame piece here because this bolt actually sticks through into the frame a little bit. And so I have the laser pretty much in the center of the bolt, and so I'm going to use that to figure out where to drill my hole as well. But let me grab my my markers and mark where I want this, because this is a two-piece bracket, and so I'm going to weld this piece in first and then weld this piece in. So I need to make sure that I get this piece in the right position. I think that is just about where I want it. Right there, right there. Make a little mark there too. I don't know, maybe up here, just so I can try and get it all lined up. Alright, and right here, this should allow me to mark where I want my hole in the frame as well. So now, can't see too much because the laser's in the way, but I made a mark right about there is where I need to drill a hole so that that bolt has room to go through. Look at that. Looks like I got it. Awesome. All right, I think it might be time to tack this into place. So I tacked that in there, but I'm looking at the bottom here, and you can see there's still some space there. So I may need to put another plate on the bottom to space that out, because if you remember, this piece here, you can kind of see the original frame came down a little bit further than the piece I put in. I may have tacked that on just a little too good. I need to break that tack somehow so I can weld that on the rest of the way. There we go. Alright, now I'm going to weld this extra plate on there so it fits better. Alright, so that's a lot better. You can see now it's right up against the bottom of that. No gap anymore. So, alright, I think I can put this back in. Alright, so I got my laser lined up again. Just double checking before I get this in that this other piece still lines up. Put that in there. Put that there. And that looks really good. Looks like it's right along the center of the bolt. That looks really good right there. And on the back, it's up against here. And on the top, it's up against that. So that looks really good. The position I got, I'm happy with that. I think I'm going to weld this piece in the rest of the way. Alright, that is in there. Hope I got it right. Alright, well that looks good. I like how that looks. I'm gonna check one more time to make sure I got it lined up. And then I'll try and get this piece in. It's a little tricky on these top sections because this is just sheet metal here. You can see some of these pieces I replaced, and that's a little thicker sheet metal, but it's still only, this is only like 18 gauge sheet metal I put in there, and then you're welding like 3/16 to it, so it's a little tricky to get it without burning it through, but I think I'm managing. Alright, so I got the rear spring bracket in. There's what it looks like. Hopefully I got it close enough to straight, because it ain't coming out now. So it's in there. I can still put the bolt in, so that's good. Seems relatively straight, so alright. Alright, so I almost got this the rear corner here done on the passenger side, but I got some more rust right here. And then I found some more right here where this is really thin. So I'm going to cut that piece out and cut that piece out and replace them. And then I think my right rear might just about be done. And then I need to start working on the front spring mount here on the passenger side. And then when I get done with that, then I can move over to the driver's side, which is, I'm sure I'll uncover all kinds of neat stuff there too. Anyway, I'm going to get that cut out and that cut out, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so I got the rust cut out of this first section of the frame here, and I got some cardboard templates in there. This was bad up here, so I cut this chunk out as well. So now I just need to take and make these templates out of metal. Alright, I think I got that piece of frame in. So there's the section that I replaced. It's not perfect, but I think it'll do. And there's a spot up there that was bad too. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it's definitely stronger than the old rusted junk I cut out. So, alright, so I'm working on the XJ again today. Right now, I'm going to see if I can get this front spring mount on the passenger side taken care of. So I got the hole drilled here because the bolt for the spring goes through there and actually pokes through into the frame a little bit. So I got that hole drilled, and I got my lasers here right along the bottom of the frame rail to try and get this somewhat straight. So I'm going to hold this up here one more time and make sure that my marks, I have some marks on here, and I'm going to try and make sure that I got those right, or at least see where it looks like it lines up, and make sure that I got this mostly straight. Alright, that looks pretty straight to me. The laser is right along the middle of the bolt. And that's really what I'm trying to do with the laser, is I'm trying to make sure that this bolt is perpendicular to the frame so that it's hopefully straight, assuming that my frame is straightish, which is not guaranteed because, you know, I replaced that piece too, so hopefully it's close enough. Alright, so I got the frame side piece tacked on there, and then I got the outer piece held up in here with my hand, and it looks pretty straight still. That line is right along the middle of the bolt. Seems like it's right along it all the way to the edge, so I think that looks good. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get this thing welded in the rest of the way. Alright, so the inner one is in. This one's a little easier because I replaced this piece of the frame, so I got really nice thick metal to weld to here. Stuff along the top's a little tougher because it's sheet metal-y, but this one out here is going to be fun because this is sheet metal I replaced, but this in here is all the original sheet metal, so it's not quite as thick as either this sheet metal I replaced, and definitely not as thick as the frame I replaced. But I left this outer piece of the bracket here from the original mount, and so I'm hoping I can just weld it right along the side of that as well, and so that'll give it nice, good sturdiness. Alright, so I got that in. Took a little longer than I was expecting because I ended up having to replace some metal right there because when I started welding this to it, it was pretty crappy. Anyway, so this little section is what I cut out and replaced, and there's the piece on the inside is actually all the way around that area, so it's overlapped there. It's welded in a couple spots and all along the edge here and on the edge and on the inside, so hopefully that'll be good enough. But anyway, there it is. That's in. Don't worry about that giant hole there. This whole rocker panel is getting replaced too, so. But anyway, there it is.